The series that we're in is called Set Apart, and in part one, Becky Fitch taught us about how to fight for unity. And this week we're talking about community, and for that we have Sally Faddis here. Sally, thank you so much also for teaching us this week about community. Why do you think community is so central to being Christian, following Jesus? Why community?
I think primarily it's because our God is a God of community. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and we're designed in His image. So we have that same call to being together with others.
Yeah, there's people who do that to an nth degree, and they like to be around people all the time. And then there's some people who say, no, but I recognize that I do need community, connection with other people. It's messy.
Very
and
messy.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And it's worth fighting for. You and a bunch of friends who went through this pandemic and the increase in division in our country and in our culture, not just in America, but across the world.
Right.
And you were able to fight for that unity and stay in community throughout all that. Do you want to double click on that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mean to come across as it being easy. It was probably one of the hardest things that I've been through in a friendship, because we've been together for a decade, but life already puts strains on relationships. Like I mentioned in the teaching, life is hard, right? We have different points of view on everything from parenting to how to eat, right? So the last 2 years it was like a magnifying glass on our differences. And with these friends, we really just had to make the commitment to stick it out. We had to make the commitment that even though I'm not going to convince you of my point of view, you're not going to change your mind, I still love you and I still value you, right? Our friendship matters to me more than that.
Wow. And so you had to maybe decide that in your communication, you had to just drop some subjects or not talk about it. Okay.
Yeah. So the four of us have a Marco Polo group, which is just video chatting.
We love Marco Polo.
Right,
Absolutely.
FaceTime meets texting, and at one point in our Marco Polo group, I don't remember if it was me or one of the other girls, but we said, "Hey, no more talk about masks or vaccines or just anything related to the pandemic."
Because you didn't see eye to eye necessarily about all those different nuances around that.
Yeah, we didn't see eye to eye. And with the four of us, it was actually 4 different points of view. It wasn't like, oh, these two feel this way and these two feel this way. It was on every different point. Everybody was just a little off. And, right now we're a little bit removed from the pandemic, right? It's 2022, but at the time that I'm talking about, everything was just in this pressure cooker. We're all locked down and separated from each other, and you don't know who to listen to, right? So we had these 4 different points of view, and we just said, forget it. We're not going to talk about this. We're going to go back to talking about prayer requests we have for our family. We're going to talk about what we did that day. We're going to talk about just anything other than this. And it created that space that we needed to remember, hey, our friendship is way bigger than this one season of time that we're in right now.
Being in community is more important than having to agree on every point and sub-point and sub-point of something that's not really essential to our faith and Jesus in our life.
Yeah.
I love how you distilled down your, I don't know, maybe this comes from your study of Romans 12, but when you talked about thick skin, soft heart, others first.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? Where did that come from?
Yeah, it really did just come through studying what Paul is describing to us in Romans 12. We have this list of things we can practice in our faith, but to do any of them, we really do have to have a thick skin and a soft heart and put others first. And the first one, the thick skin, man, that came up a lot.
People are so offended so quickly.
Yes. And we a lot of Christians will say like, oh, don't be offendable, don't be easily offendable, but then we don't do it.
Right.
And early in my marriage, my husband said to me, hey, the more mature you get in your faith, the thicker your skin will be. When you realize that my value is in Jesus, I can let some of these things that are said roll off of me because they don't actually
Have you always been like that?
No, and I
okay.
still work for it now. I mean, I joke in the teaching that one of my friends said something, I had the choice to be offended or forgive, and I chose to be offended. And I did, because that's my natural response.
Okay.
I'm a naturally defensive person. But you just have to make that intentional decision that I'm going to look at this person's heart, right? So when I have a thick skin, I say, Christian just said this thing to me, but I know Christian, and I know his heart, and I know what his intentions are for me. Or in my marriage, I know my husband has my best interest at heart. So when he says that thing, I'm going to step back from being offended by it and say, okay, he wants what's best for me. So how can I look at it through that lens?
That's maturity for you right there.
Yeah, so there's glimmers of it in my life.
I see some of it. Hey, you also said others first. That's the third one.
Yeah.
Question number one, are you having T-shirts made that can replace my Not of This World T-shirts that I now
Others
don't wear
first.
anymore? Yeah, others first T-shirt. And secondly, why is that so essential that we not just have thick skin and soft hearts, but that we put others first?
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the New Testament. So that third point in this little, thick skin.
Mini sermon.
Yeah, the mini sermon, right? If you take away three things, have a thick skin, have a soft heart, and love, put others first, it's because everywhere, I mean, I mentioned a few places in 1 Peter and in 2 Corinthians, but Jesus talks about others first all the time. But more than that, he puts others first all the time. So we have to consider others first, and we're naturally selfish people. We think of ourselves. It's just how we're wired. It doesn't make you a bad person if your first thought is me. The mark, I think, of someone who is trying to follow Jesus is that you then say, wait, others. So when I do those Marco Polos, it would be so easy to get on there and be like, this is what's going on in my day, and all about me. But I always try to say, like, what's going on with you guys? How can I be praying for you, right? But again, I don't want to say these things and make it seem like it's so easy. It takes intention. It takes praying about it.
Yeah.
It takes asking.
You've seen glimpses of that in your own life, in other people's lives, and you know that works.
Yes.
That's where the maturity lies.
Yes.
And that's what we work towards. We want to be mature followers of Christ, and that's what this could look like, everybody. It could look like we have thick skin and soft hearts, and we put others first. And through the fruit of the Spirit in our life, which is all about others first, we can be the church that Jesus wants us to be. So I'm pretty excited about that. And Sally, thanks so much for teaching us this week.
Yeah.
I hope to see you back here next time.